Hello, thank you for joining me today. This is Veronica Armstrong from Leadership Life Support, and today I've come to talk to you about what you need to know in order to be a strong leader. But before I get started, let me ask you a question. How many of you know someone, whether it's a family member, a friend, a colleague, or a boss, who seems to think a little differently about themselves than the rest of the world? And what I mean by that is perhaps this person thinks that they're a great listener, that they're supportive, that they're friendly, caring, or even giving them for that matter. But yet you and others think, yeah, no. If you do, you're not alone. There are plenty of us who have people like that in our lives. But that's exactly the reason for today's topic. The thing that you need to know in order to be a strong leader is self-awareness. That's right, self-awareness. What is self-awareness? Self-awareness is knowing intimately exactly who that person is that's looking back at you in the mirror. And what I mean by that is you know that person's character, personality, strengths, weaknesses, likes, dislikes, flaws, core values, and beliefs. Yes, you know all of those things intimately. The reason it's important to have self-awareness is because self-awareness allows you to control your life. And what I mean by that, it allows you to control your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors, and your reactions. Additionally, having great self-awareness allows you to focus your developmental efforts, whether personally or professionally, on the areas where you need them most. And that's important if you're going to be successful. Now, from a leadership perspective, having self-awareness is the best predictor of success, or at least that's what studies show, that it is the best predictor of success. Self-awareness also allows you to build a strong foundation for emotional intelligence, which is also important in leadership. And self-awareness, just knowing who you are, knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, your likes and your dislikes, and knowing your personality, those things not only benefit you, but they also benefit the organization that you work for and your team, because they allow you to make smarter decisions about who you hire, the decisions you make on day-to-day operations, how you relate with people. It impacts your style, which in turn influences your team. So it's important that you know all of those things so that you can be an effective leader. Now, what are some traits of self-aware leaders? They lead with their strengths to maximize their impact. And what that means is they engage in activities that leverage their strengths, or they modify their role to leverage their strengths. Let me give you an example of what that looks like. What that looks like is someone who is a woo. If you're familiar with the Strengths Finder profile and the woo strength, that means someone who's the cheerleader. They're the ones who connect with people, keep them motivated, keep them engaged. Well, if you're a woo and your role requires that you analyze financial statements, I don't think that you're going to be very happy with that. Likely not something that you're going to want to do. So what you're likely going to do is hire someone who you can delegate that responsibility to so that you can do what you do best. Leverage your strengths, which is woo, which is connect with people, be their cheerleader, motivate them. Another trait of self-aware leaders is emotional intelligence. And what that means is that they're very honest with themselves about their skills and their abilities and their strengths and weaknesses, such that they make decisions that are best for the organization. That includes how they delegate tasks, who they hire on their teams, the things that they focus their efforts on. Whatever they do, they're just honest with themselves about their skills and their abilities, and they utilize that information to make better decisions that work well for the organization. So if you're ready to get started on developing your self-awareness, here are 3 ways that you can start doing that today. Number 1, start journaling. Journaling is a very good exercise because it allows you to document your thoughts and feelings on a daily basis, look back at what you've journaled and reflect and make changes, make decisions on how you want to do things differently from day to day. As a leader, keeping a leadership journal will help you not only assess your own abilities, but will also help you look back at some of the decisions that you've made and perhaps make some different decisions in the future if you ever encounter those situations again. The second way you can develop self-awareness is to engage in 360-degree feedback. That's probably one of the most effective ways to become more self-aware about who you are. And what 360-degree feedback is, it's an opportunity for you to take an assessment that allows your peers, your direct reports, and your superior to assess you and give you anonymous feedback and tell you how you're performing in various areas. It is probably one of the most effective, one of the most eye-opening assessments that you can ever do in your leadership career. And you can also take a personality test like the Predictive Index, the Myers-Briggs, or the DISC. They all tell you about who you are, how you're wired, and what your strengths and weaknesses are. So to wrap up today's discussion on self-awareness, I want to leave you with these thoughts. First, great leadership starts with you. If you are not willing to invest in your own development, who will? Second, embracing who you are is the first step toward understanding where you need to develop. Third, remember, self-awareness is a journey. It may start today, but it goes on for a lifetime. And finally, if you are ready to start your journey of self-awareness, please go down to below this post and download the free guide called How to Develop Self-Awareness. Thank you.